Hello, and welcome along to TGP Has A Podcast. This is the second episode of our new series, looking back over the history of TGP as we near our 10th anniversary on the 15th of July. My guest today has been the voice of TGP since his first appearance, all the way back in 2014, and since then has gone on to commentate on multiple TGP events and compete in multiple disciplines. He has been able to commentate on ILR, Jacko Car, and the Not the Grand Prix series, which was hosted by F1. He has become a member of Veloci and been able to commentate over his beloved Kilmarnock, during all of which has been able to remain humble and grounded over his past successes and what the future has to hold. My guest today, of course, is the one and only Ginger Andy, and I had the pleasure of sitting down to him and chatting to the Glaswegian recently about his successes in commentary, racing, and controversies in TGP FIFA. So without further ado, here he is, Ginger Andy, undoubtedly the voice of TGP series. So Andy, thank you very much for joining me. We're recording this on a very hot evening in peak British summer in the middle of June. It feels like we should be doing this over a beer somewhere in a beer garden, I'd like to think, but here we are. I'm stuck in a hot, sweaty room in the West Country, and you're up in Scotland. Probably a little bit cooler up there, I would have thought, but thank you ever so much for joining me, and it's going to be a privilege to have a chat with you over the next half an hour, 45 minutes, and I hope you're looking forward to this as well. Obviously, your second appearance on TGP Has A Podcast.
Yeah, that's right. TGP Has A Podcast, does it? Ah, great to be back on once again, Mike. I enjoyed it last time, and I'm looking forward to it. And I can report it is slightly cooler up here, overcast skies, but wouldn't stop me from going outside with the shorts and t-shirt on and going for a beer because we're Scottish.
Maybe that's what we'll have to do afterwards. Well, it is without doubt, Andy, that you have become, over the 10-year history of TGP, you haven't been part of it for the full time, but it is without doubt that you have become the voice of TGP series. How does it feel, sort of having a role in a league as much as that? Are you quite honoured to be considered that?
Oh, it's great that people think that of me, that people enjoy my commentary, and people see me as the voice of TGP. I don't see myself as the voice of anyone, or whether it be TGP or any other league or Veloci or anyone. I'm just quite happy to do my commentary, and if people like it, people like it. But no, it's great to be part of TGP. I really enjoy doing the leagues. It's been great to get involved a lot more recently as well, Mike, and get back into the swing of it with TGP too. I've taken a wee bit of a hiatus, a wee bit of a time out of TGP and really all league racing commentary for quite some time. So, I'm looking to get back into it, and yeah, it's been good. And over the 10 years, there's been so many good moments. The Lotus roadblock stands out as the funniest of them all.
Iconic moment. Iconic
Yeah,
moment.
there's been so many great moments. But yeah, I mean, to get back to the original question, Mike. I mean, I don't see myself as the voice of anything. That people say that and think that. I think that's great. I love that. I love a bit of praise now and then. I love it. You get criticism both ways, but it's nice that people enjoy my commentary in TGP, and a lot of people respect me for that. So it's good.
So, sort of, before we get to talking about your first commentary with us and what you've done with us there, what was it that got you into commentary? What was it that made you think that, not only do I enjoy watching racing, I enjoy being part of racing, but I want to talk about what's going on. I want to tell people what's happening and what I'm seeing out there.
It's a difficult one, Mike, but I think from a young age I've always watched races, watched football. I've always loved sports, right? Loved live sport, and I've always watched, football and always watched the Formula One. And when something major happens, like a great race or a great goal in a football match, I find myself probably more than others a bit sad this way. I like to watch it back again and again and again and again and again and again. Whether that be the highlights, whether that be from a race or a specific goal in a match. And what I found over the years from watching these moments, Mike, not only is the moment in the sporting sense special, but the commentary makes it special as well. And it's just something I've always, liked. I really appreciate the commentator and the job of a commentator to make things exciting. And that's from a really young age, Mike. That's me I'm talking maybe 7 or 8 or 9 years old, just watching it, then watching it again, and I don't know if everyone else does that. I don't know if that's something that a lot of people do or it's just me, but it's something I do. And from then on, I always seem to get the feel for commentary ever since then. Oh, that commentary's great from that moment. That commentary's brilliant. It really brings the moment out of this or that or the next thing. And not only that, Mike, you know, FIFA as well. Playing FIFA with my mates, that's another example of what really got me into commentary. Playing FIFA, sitting down, 10 years old, 11-year old, sitting playing FIFA with my pals, side by side, and then you just start commentating the game, just because I've been watching sport before that, and I think, yeah, I could give this a go. And there's me commentating, my pals like, you're actually quite good at that, that's quite nice, that's quite cool. And then from then on, Mike, it just kind of lay in the doldrums for a wee bit, didn't really bother with it, and then league racing came along, and then as you're about to probably talk about, my first commentary with TGP, and that's really what sparked it to life and made me start to properly get involved in commentary. But from that young age, that's probably what the spark was, and that's what makes me the commentator I am now.
Well, you've preempted it. That's exactly the question I was going to ask next. You first made an appearance for the TGP series all the way back in late 2014. 2014, all those years ago, November 2014, for
7 years ago.
TGP2's 200th race. Now, as we'll come to in a bit, not only the voice of TGP have you come, but very much the voice of TGP2. How was it when you got that message, call, whatever it was, from Sir Dom Smith to come and do that commentary? What were you thinking? Were you looking forward to it? Was it a little bit apprehensive, or?
I struggle to remember, Mike. I do. I struggle to remember exactly how it all came about, but I think I was maybe commentating in a lobby or something like that, because that's another thing I used to do prior to that, commentate in lobbies and have a bit of fun. Again, just like I'm saying, sitting playing FIFA with my mates, online lobbies from 2010, 11, 12 on F1 games, commentating in the lobby, it's just in a public lobby. And I think maybe I'm pretty sure that's how Dom came across it and said, "Oh, that's great. Do you think you could come and commentate for the league?" And to be honest, Mike, I saw it as an opportunity to just jump in and do what I love. There was no concern or fear of that first commentary, because I felt like I was doing it anyway, just not in an official league sense. To me, it was just like doing another commentary, and I see myself as I wouldn't say a shy person, but someone that wouldn't stand up in front of a crowd and speak to someone, Mike. I wouldn't stand up on a stage with faces looking at me and speak to them. So, I'm quite nervous with something like that. But with the commentary, it just comes naturally, and it doesn't matter to me. Even like last year doing not the GP stuff for Lochy, there was a wee bit of nerves, but nothing. It was just like, no problem, I can do this. Doing the stuff with Kelly as well. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. I could just jump in and do it. So even in that first race, Mike, there was no real nerves or things like that. It was just like jump in, do what I can do what I know best, and just jump in and enjoy it. And I did enjoy it, because there was a few great moments in that race, like Adrian Newey's absolutely disgusted on the pit wall. Christian Horner and Adrian Newey. Oh, it was great fun. They're iconic moments right off the bat with the very first race. We still talk about it today. It's
It's
great.
amazing to think that moments like that are still discussed, and I think that's what you've been able to bring to the series more than anything. You rightfully mentioned there, anything can happen during a race and during an event. Whether it's a race, qualifying, whatever it is, but a commentator can bring that moment to life in such a way, and I think that's what you've been able to provide. And everyone remembers that Aiden Michael Kenny argument in the party while you're there. Obviously, in your first event, not really knowing the story behind all of this, let alone who the people are. But it's just such a great moment to look back on and remember. And you must have really sort of relished an opportunity to sort of commentate on a league with such diverse people in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Michael Kenny. and Aidan Griffiths. There'll be quite an age difference between them, I'm sure. I don't think Michael Kenny will mind me saying. I think Aidan was about 11 or 12 at the time. I mean, he was just squeaking down the mic, giving it large to Michael Kenny, who's sitting there going, "Who the hell is this guy? What is his problem?" And that's back in the days before the commentary was in its own party. I'm doing the commentary live in amongst an 11-year-old Aidan giving it large to Michael Kenny. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But you know what? I love doing that. I would do it again like that. It was brilliant. It was great fun, and it ended up getting to the point where the drivers actually preferred just nobody else speaking and just listening to the commentary. I personally, Mike, couldn't do that. If I was racing,
really,
I would. Yeah, see when I race in TGP1 in the party, I mute everyone. I mute everyone in the party and only unmute to apologise for something or at the end of the race just so I'm in the party
but
to
do
chat.
you mute everyone else as well, or do you just mute yourself?
I mute everyone. I cannot do it. I have to have the car with the engine notes blasted up full volume and fully focused. How the peep drivers can race listening to my Scottish voice roaring in the party and amongst everyone else chats.
Your deep Glaswegian accent bellowing in their ears.
I don't know how they can do it, Mike. So the fact that they enjoyed it and didn't want to tell me to shut up is quite unbelievable. But there you go. But they were the days, of course, before party chats. And you had first race, jumped in, commentary, and Michael Kenny and Aidan Griffiths are having a spat mid-qualifying. Brilliant.
Absolutely unbelievable. Now, my first interaction with you, actually, Andy, was in that same season. I joined later on in the season, and on my first night, it was a race in Singapore. It was the second race of the night, which I ended up winning. And I was in a Force India, and I just remember the quote. You certainly wouldn't mind Vijay Mallya certainly having a curry after this one. And it was just the sort of the humour that you brought to it as well. It wasn't just sort of commentating on what you saw, but it was actually adding a different dimension to what was being seen, to the listener, to who was watching, to the racer as well, obviously at the time as well. Is that something that you particularly try purposefully to add in, that sort of humour side to the commentary?
I think you need to. I think you need to have a wee bit of add a wee bit of character, a wee bit of spice, a wee bit of humour, a wee bit of fun. You're absolutely right.
Was that a pun with the spice thing, by the way?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. But you do. But sometimes you do need to do that. Commentators, they need to be a bit more colourful, and add that bit of drama. I say it a lot, and hopefully they're commentating together in the Euros. Maybe they will be. And maybe I'm biased because I like Ali McCoy because he's Scottish, but he's a co-commentator. He's not the main commentator. But see him together, I think it's with John Champion. See the two of them together. They're absolutely phenomenal. The World Cup in 2018, they were just... It was like a professional commentary. But they were in whatever city it was. I think it was Callum or something. They'd been at the museum the previous day from back in I forget what it was about, but something historic, right? They were at the museum and they're bouncing in lines about some statue into the commentary, and it was just hilarious. It was funny, but it was live commentary about the football, and Ali McCoy's just flinging one in here and there, and John Champion's bouncing off it, loving it. Sometimes you need that bit of fun in the commentary, a bit of humour. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes, even if it's a game, it doesn't matter to me that it is a game. I like to throw in the extra bit of realism, like, things like, the Brawleys are going up in the grandstand. It's a game, some people would say. What you talking about? It's a game. It just adds to the realism, the drama, the excitement, things like that. And I'm all for having things like that as well. And of course, as you say, there's little bit of fun that you can have along the way as well. Like Red Bull Kim and his little Viking bar every time he goes up a runoff area at turn 3 in Baku. He's going to the pub, something like that. Kim loves that kind of stuff, and it's an example of just adding a little bit of fun to the action as well. Even Dan last night, I think side by side out of turn 1, 2 cars in Monaco, and it was just like Vettel and Gasly the other week there. And Dan goes at the end of it, "Thank goodness we didn't cut to Lance Stroll there." Brilliant. Little bits of fun like that. And it's fantastic. And yeah, speaking of Dan, I really am enjoying working with Dan and TGP2. I think we work together brilliantly. I think it's great fun.
The
But yeah,
combination of you two is so brilliant.
oh, I love it.
And it really works because you come in with such flamboyancy and energy, and Dan he really does he does the mopping up job fantastically, but he adds so much more to it than just that.
Yeah,
And the dynamic between you two is brilliant.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you get a lot of co-commentators, right? That they analyze it, which is absolutely fine. But as you say, he analyses it with a little bit more, and it's brilliant. A little bit of laugh and joke, a little bit of fun, and that's what I'm saying about John Champion and Ali McCoy. You get that, I feel anyway, with me and Dan, a little bit of camaraderie in between moments as well, and that's what's so fun about it. He's probably my favourite co-commentator to work with. Honestly, I
And
really do mean that.
and you've
He's
worked with
brilliant.
many of them. Let's not forget, not just in TGP, across multiple different leagues and services and um, disciplines as well. Actually, you've worked with so many co-commentators, and we're going to be chatting with Dan next week as well, and I'm sure he'll touch on it as well. But the two of you do just gel so well, and it's almost as if you've sort of got a sixth sense of what the other one's about to come on to.
Exactly, exactly, and it's brilliant. No, it's great. I have to say it is. Sometimes you jump in and do co-commentators with other people. You just don't know what you're gonna get, how they're gonna be, when they're gonna speak, when you're gonna speak. But with Dan, it was just natural from the very first race. Bang, 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 bang. You know, he knows the exact role of a co-commentator. A lot of people don't. A lot of people try and speak too much as a co-commentator, and it becomes a bit of a competition between one and the other to see who's speaking more. Dan knows the co-commentator role, and I'll say my bit. Sometimes I speak for too long and too much, and Dan can't get a word in, and I realise that, and I'm like, right, time to get Dan to say his thing. You know what I mean? But I just think it works so well, and it's great fun. It is. It's the most fun I have commentating is with Dan. It is. It's brilliant.
Well, you two have certainly gelled over the last few seasons that you've been doing, even just the TGP2 you've been doing with him for so long, and it's great to see that relationship in the commentary box is doing as well as it is. It's absolutely brilliant to be listening and to watch it as well. You two bring the event to life so much, and let's not forget that you've done commentary for quite a few years over a few different disciplines as well, and you've had some memorable moments in the TGP series. You mentioned one, you mentioned a couple already. Obviously, with Lotus Roadblock, one of the early ones, that was absolutely phenomenal. Paul with the double toe, another one springs to mind. We've had VJ Malia running down the pit lane naked in Spa as Jamie Bubata claims pole position. Some of those, obviously, the obvious ones spring to mind. But what's one of your favourite TGP commentary moments over the last few years?
Oh, there's been many, but I have to say, the Rotus load block is, and I honestly say this, it is the commentary where I uncontrollably laughed, and I'm not a person that will uncontrollably laugh at something on a game. Well, it's just, it wouldn't usually come under my bracket as something I would find funny, but I was I couldn't stop laughing. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. The two of them at turn one blocking the road at Monaco, helplessly and hopelessly trying to get out of the pickle they just put themselves in. It's brilliant. I mean, you just don't see that in a league race. Two cars, the same team, blocking the exit of Sandavot, and it was just funny. It was just hilarious. So that was probably the one moment where I just lost it. And it's probably one of the funniest moment, and it will remain the funniest moment in TGP I've ever done. I'm trying to think about the best moment. I don't know if there's a specific best moment, but without doubt, the most enjoyable commentary I did was probably that final week in TGP2. I'm not sure the season, but when we had four or five, I think it was four drivers contending for the title. I think we had Dino Courtney, we had Dan, we had James O'Connor, and who else was it?
It was
Who was it?
Jean-Luc Taylor. It was
John
the
Taylor.
season 20 title
There you go.
decider. What a season that was, and it's obviously
And
something we've done a podcast about in season
Yep,
one as well. So if you want to know more about that, then check out that podcast. But you must have had a ball commentating over that.
yep, that's fantastic. I mean, Dom knows this himself as a league owner, doesn't he? That you want it to go the distance. You want the hype, the drama, get into the final race, and I think that's kind of what he tried to do with DGP2 for this season. Try and get the guys that are maybe not too quick, just kind of bunch it up a bit. Didn't quite work out maybe as well as he'd planned, but we're still on course for a two-way fight at the final race. But yeah, that's a commentator's dream. You'll know it too, Mike. You want as many drivers in with a shout, as many storylines, as many potential causes for drama and excitement that you can get, and that's exactly what we got in that season 20. I mean, that was peak TGP. I think peak TGP. I would say in terms of championship battles. I don't think we've had anything as good as that. And yeah, it
Certainly
was
not in the
brilliant.
top tier. Have we had a title fight as good
Yeah,
as that?
right.
We've had some great ones in TGP2 and so on, and not taking anything away from TGP1, we've had some good ones there. But I think that trumps them all. That trumps them from any discipline, from anything we've had. That was just such an enthralling season where you really going into the last race, you really didn't know who was going to win it, and to be able to witness that and commentate over that, and the going into that last race not knowing what's going to happen must be brilliant.
Yeah, no, exactly, Mike. And they asked me what my favourite moment of commentary was. There was no favourite moment in particular. I'm sure when Dom releases his 10 years of TGB video, I'll look at it and go, oh, I remember that one. Oh, I remember that one. Maybe that one was the best. But there's so many that it's hard for me to pick one. But certainly the one that I enjoyed the most as a whole, probably that one. That those two races. So yeah, I would go for that one, Mike. And yeah, absolutely. As we say, that's what you want as a commentator. A race like that, some drama, some excitement, a bit of rain in there as well. But we've touched on season 20 and how it all panned out in the previous podcast. But yeah, that's the one I would go for probably.
And as comment, obviously you mentioned about the fact that when you were younger, playing with your friends at FIFA and all the rest there. At what at what sort of stage did you think that this could turn into something?
Uh, well, I don't think it's turned into anything yet, Mike. If I'm honest, I don't get paid to do any commentary. I never have been paid to do any commentary. So as far as I'm concerned, right now, it's not actually turned into anything yet. Yeah, I mean that's me probably been a wee bit glass half empty, because obviously I've had the chance to commentate on that Veloci not the GP last year's squad sprint. They're quite big things to commentate on. With actual F1 drivers racing in it. So I can look back at that with pride and go, wow, I've actually managed to commentate on something like that. So yeah, when did I realise I could make something of it? I mean, to be honest, it was actually about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly. I'd say it was about 3 years ago, and I was doing ILR, and Jack Gooden said to me, "You should make a second Twitter account and dedicate it to just F1 commentary stuff." And I thought, I don't know, maybe, maybe yeah, maybe not. And he's like, "Well, you've got your F1 stuff and all the crap about the SNP and Kelly and whatever other shite you want to talk about, all rammed in the one. Why don't you just do a separate account and dedicate it purely to commentary?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Okay, I've got a few followers on my normal account. Maybe tell them to jump over onto that, and we'll do that." So that's what we did. I did that, and from then on, it just kind of grew and grew and grew. The more commentaries I put out, Mike, the more it got noticed, the more followers started coming along, and then it got to a point where I was uploading stuff every other week because I was doing leagues, 2, 3 leagues a week, and then Veloci came along and seen it, seen some of the stuff I was doing, seen some of the stuff I was posting, and then they signed me up, and that's what then led to me doing squad sprint and led me to um, doing the not the GP. So I would say when I made that Twitter account and it started to go well, that's when I realised that I could maybe make something of it, Mike. But as I say, I don't think I've made anything of it yet because I don't have a career out of it yet. And if I'm honest, I don't think I will. But if I do and the opportunity comes, then boom, we might get in the door. But I'm remaining grounded, Mike. I'm remaining grounded. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, I am not, and I wish I was this kind of person. I'm not a go out and get it kind of person. I'm not. If I want something, I don't show enough determination and drive to go chase, chase, chase to get it. I don't, and that's probably my weakness, and that's probably why I'm not there yet, and possibly might not actually ever get there, Mike. If I'm honest with you, but we're going to try. I've ordered a PC, and I'm going to maybe give it one last hurrah and attack it. But to answer your question, probably when I made the Twitter account and I started to get followers and people started to enjoy it, that's when I maybe thought it might be possible, and I still do think it's possible. I still do,
Well, I
but
think that
we
I
need to take
speak for
that next
many
step.
others who really hope that you do, because we all love hearing what it is you do. And how do you think, how critical do you think it was for you? You mentioned ILR there. You know, you've commentated on multiple races for them, Jacko Car as well. You've been a part of. How crucial is that for you to expand your wealth of commentary, being a part of those leagues, and still being a part of obviously Jacko Car, of course? How big do you think that was for you?
I think it was very important. I think it's absolutely vital. Uh, Commentate on a range of leagues, to commentate on leagues that people watched, people are interested in. It's so important because if you're not commentating, Mike, and I'm not doing any leagues other than TGP at the minute. So while I don't commentate on the big leagues with the big esports drivers in it, while I don't do that, I'm not learning anything about them. I'm not ready to just jump in and go, oh, I could tell you all about him. I could tell you all about him. I could tell you about him or that. It's moved so quickly in the last year or so, and I've not been there to really see it. So I've got a lot of work to do to try and get back in. But to answer your question, you're right. It's very important to get in there and keep an eye, and whether that be on the PC side, the Xbox side, PlayStation side. It's important to cover all bases. Pardon me, and commentate on various leagues to not only to keep your own knowledge of who's out there and who's looking good for the future and who's not, but also so that the other people in various leagues on various platforms see your commentary and then begin to you gain a following from that if they enjoy your commentary. So yeah, it is important. It is important.
And I guess then for you as well, you know, being a part of that, it was also sort of being a part of different race lengths as well to a certain degree. Things like 50% races, obviously TGP mainly focusing on the 25%, but doing some 50% races, doing different formats a night. That must have been quite key for you as well, wasn't it?
Um, Less so. Less. I mean, again, you look at it and say probably. Not to the same extent as doing other leagues. I think that's vital, and even more important is putting your content out there. So, like when you do a commentary, if you think you've done something good, you need to share it far and wide. Get it up on Twitter. Tag the people involved in it, the league, the drivers. Get it out there and share it. If the mic quality is good, as as you know, my mic's not great at the minute. And then once
It's
you do
had
that, I mean that's
questionable moments, hasn't it, over the
I
past?
mean, but there's an example. My mic quality was awful, right? Awful in TGP last season, right? I didn't want to put the clip out there because of that. And Dom's like, I don't care how shite the mic is. It's going up. So what does he do? He takes a clip of me and Dan uh, discussing the Vietnam racetrack, having a bit of a laugh with it. So I'm like, will I retweet it? Will I not? I don't know. It's the mic's shit. I don't really think it paints me in a good light. Uh, we'll just do it. Retweet it. And people loved it. People loved it. The mic was awful, but people loved it. Even Matt Gallagher's tweeting it. Okay, he said the mic was rubbish, but he appreciated it and he thought it was good. Do you know what I mean? Uh, and
Huge thing to have.
and then people start liking, retweeting, and it ends up with about, I don't know, what was it, 15, 20 retweets and 60, 70 likes and a few thousand views on it. And to me and Dan, it was just a bit of trivial banter on a hot lap around Vietnam with a horrendous mic. And I'm like, I'm not putting that out there. And then Don put it out there, and it did very well. So that's the key thing. If it doesn't matter sometimes. Just get the thing out there if you think it's good, and then people will share it, and that's what helps you grow. But back to your initial point, different lengths and things like that, it does help you, Mike, because it helps you with strategy and things like that. It makes you realise in a 50% if it's a one stop or a two stop, if it's a soft tire start, a medium tire start, hard tire start. It trains your brain. And 25%, if there's a safety car in the first lap, do you pit? Do you put the softs on, the mediums on? Do you put the hards on? These are the things that you learn from different race distances as well. So you're absolutely right. It does have a factor, less so than other things, but it does have a factor.
And I mean, we've only been able to enjoy each other's company in the commentary box once in TGP's history, and unfortunately, it was during the farcical TGP 2 series, which Luca Chiapelli eventually won. How difficult was that for you to commentate over and try and turn into something that wasn't as bad as it actually was?
Well, I think by watching it, Mike, you could tell how hard it was for me, because you could tell I was struggling to make it seem like it wasn't as bad as it was. Uh, because you know me, Dom knows me. I don't like beating around the bush. If I think something's ridiculous, I tend to say it. I don't like polishing something that's not shouldn't be getting polished. So maybe that's something I could do with improving on, Mike. Actually, it could be a weakness in my commentary. Maybe I should be trying to be more complimentary, be more backing to the league that I'm representing.
Perhaps a bit more diplomatic?
I don't know if diplomatic's the word. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if diplomatic's the word, but perhaps, yeah, maybe a little bit more lenient. Maybe lenient. Trying to think of the word to use.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe more lenient and maybe not as brutal to what's there. But I find that difficult, Mike. That's something I find difficult to do. I like to be honest about it. For example, most commentators, if a driver hits someone off, and I'm not just talking about in TGP here, I'm talking about when I've done AOR, ILR, any league. If a driver does something I think is stupid, I will say in the commentary, what is he doing? That is a slam dunk time penalty. Whereas most commentators and other commentators, some of them would say, oh, that could go to the stewards, oh, that's a bit, they'd sit in the fence. Now, maybe the league owner wouldn't like people to commentators to be so rash because it's the steward's decision at the end of the day. But I think a lot of the viewers and drivers like that honesty in a commentator sometimes. I think they like it because
It,
they
it
can
adds it adds a different character to it as
opinions.
well. It makes you
Yeah,
more
of
human, I
course.
think.
Uh, yeah, and it adds an opinion to it. People want to know what people think in the moment, in the action. So yeah, in some instances, I think it's absolutely right to hammer the driver if you think he's in the wrong. I think that's absolutely right. And maybe that's why I did that in that race. Um, but, what happened happened. It wasn't a great moment for TGP. Maybe I could have been a little bit more chill, lenient. But I was angry. I was angry commentating on it, Mike. I was, because you know yourself.
Was it
When you
because
take the
you expected better from the drivers?
Well, yes, I think Dom, yourself, everyone in the race, everyone watching it would expect better from the drivers. In a championship fight, in a well-run league, a well-organised league where people take the time out of their day to set it up and make it look as good as possible, and then the drivers start doing that. Yeah, you do expect better from the drivers, and I think that's part of the issue for me. I'm taking time out of my day to commentate on it, and I'm seeing drivers run into each other and take the mickey, and that's channels the anger more and makes me want to be more honest about it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
And
completely.
so that's probably kind of where I'm coming from with that. But I still do look back and think maybe I could have been a bit more chill, a bit more lenient on it. I don't think diplomatic though, because I think being diplomatic in an instance like that, I don't think you're being diplomatic because It wasn't very good with the drivers, was it?
No, it wasn't. Certainly wasn't. Now, taking it away from commentary just for a second, because let's not forget you have raced in TGP for quite a few seasons as well. But unfortunately for you, we have to go all the way back to season 26, where we find not only your first win in TGP 1, but also to date your last win in TGP 1. Now, you took 2 wins that season in China and Monaco, but the one I want to talk about most is Monaco, because you crashed in qualifying, and we had an eventful race to say the least, and you won the race. How does that rank in any of your drives that you've ever done in or out of league racing?
You know something? I can't really remember this Monaco race.
Unbelievable. I finished second in that race.
I
mean, Chris Serger's joining us on the podium. Of all people, Chris Serger.
I struggle to remember this race because I used to think my first race win was in China.
That was your first race win. Yep.
Okay,
yeah, sorry,
right,
to
so
be clear, that was your first race win. But Monaco was your most recent race win.
So how many did I win? 2?
2, and they were both for him in the same season.
Right, because I keep getting confused. I keep thinking I won Abu Dhabi, but I never did.
No.
So I won Monaco. I don't, to be honest.
You won Monaco, and you can't. Ladies and gentlemen, we have someone. It's supposed to be the only person ever who has won Monaco who doesn't remember winning Monaco. Andy, come on. Were you that drunk after? Which boat were you on?
Well, actually, something's coming back to me now, right? I don't remember the race, Mike. But on my Snapchat memories a few months ago, do you know where this is going?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
There's a video of me filling up the bath in my mum and dad's house, and she's like that. What are you doing? Turn the taps off, and I'm like that. I've just won the Monaco Grand Prix. It's the Red Bull swimming pool. I'm jumping in. So that's how I remember winning Monaco. Don't remember anything in the race. Sorry to completely ruin your question.
Unbelievable. I've been looking forward to that question all the time. You can't even remember it.
But I do remember the aftermath and a furious Rosalia running in to turn the taps off as I prepared to jump in what I was calling the Red Bull swimming pool at the energy station. But
it wasn't quite a Daniel Ricciardo belly flop. It was a little less elegant than that, ladies and gentlemen, but it was pretty awesome.
Well, actually, I have got a story about Monaco, and it's not TGP, but it is TOC, and I know that Moss might be watching, and I know Dom likes the TOC, TGP kind of bromance we've kind of got going here, because of course a lot of the drivers in TOC or TGP were in
spoke
TOC.
With Softy about last week, of course.
Well, there you go. Well, if you've listened to the Softy podcast, this might follow on a little bit. Softy actually crashed at Monaco once and handed a victory to Moss, but that's not what my story was. We actually did, I think it was about 2012, something like that, 2013. We did a TOC retro. It was Monaco. It was 2010, a mini championship, and there was a bit of controversy. Mike Noon. There was maybe 10 drivers
Softy?
in the race.
Surely not.
No, not with Softy. Not with Softy.
Okay.
There was maybe 10 drivers in the race, maybe 12. Monaco. And qualifying went fine. Race was on. And I think after, and you know, notoriously F1 2010 was quite bad for damage. If you crashed, you crashed. And I think we got to about lap 15 or something out of the whatever laps there is, 30 something, 30, what is it, 34? Something like that.
Yeah, it would be on a 50. It would be on a 50%. Yeah.
No, sorry, 44. No, fuck. Oh, I don't even know. Anyway,
there was some laps.
Yeah, it was some laps into the race for half distance, something like that, maybe just around that. And everyone crashed out, apart from me. So I came round, got to the line, won the race. In my eyes, the race was stopped early because when there's only one car circulating, you don't have to finish. And then, lo and behold, in the shout box, as it was known, or the chat afterwards, we're going to have to do the race again. I'm like, what, are you joking? I've won the race. I'm the only man that's finished. Give me 10 points, the rest get nothing. Absolute joke. So, yeah.
Well, that is why TGP Series is still around and TOC isn't. I'm going to blame it solely on that incident.
Moss,
Moss,
this is on you
Moss,
if you're
this
listening.
is where it all went downhill, son. If you're listening to this, this is where it all went downhill. This is why TOC is no longer a thing.
Moss, Haggis, Grant, you're all to blame.
Yeah, exactly. All of you, let your side down. Let your side down. Now, Andy, you've also had various successes in other forms of activity on TGP series. Now, most recently,
Oh,
you've missed out on a Bat Racer title
oh.
in what you called, I think, what was the word I think you used in the chat? Un something it was some strong words towards the eventual champion. How what's the word I can use here? Um, how pissed off were you the fact that you missed out on that title?
Well, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that season, Mike. It might just be bat racer and a bit of fun at the end of the day, but I was left frustrated by my teammate Roy Scorer.
He let you
You know,
down. He let you
he
down.
let me down, and I won't let him forget it. Race after race went by. He didn't let me through, and to help me for the championship, he was too busy winning 3 races, then retiring from 4, winning another 3, retiring from 4.
It's
You
not good
can't do
enough.
that. You can't do that to win a championship. He's like, oh, but I'm the one with the raw pace, blah 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 blah. Potato, piss off. Come on, Roy. Let's be serious. Consistency is key. I was going to win that title. If you moved out the way, let me pass Dom Smith and let me pass you to get level with Dom Smith in the penultimate round. That championship would have been mine. But no, Roy
He
let us
didn't.
all down and ruined the championship for the entire Red Bell team. And Red Bell Kim is still furious.
So I understand, and I heard that the Red Bell team are so annoyed that they actually called a halt to the whole TGP back race. It's never going to come back again. Red Bell have refused to take part, and that includes under their former names of whatever the equivalent of Jaguar or Stewart is, but they've refused to
Yeah.
take part, and that's why TGP back will never be a thing again.
Yeah, and there will not be a 1998 season because we will not be
99,
there.
it's got to be 99. 99 would be a
Well,
fantastic season.
well, Stuart have pulled out, so we won't be there.
Well, I don't think we'll miss them. Now, Andy, I can't have a podcast review without talking about the in inverted commas controversy
Oh,
of
here we go.
TGP FIFA World Cup 2018 and your 3-3 draw with Bullet. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the world of TGP FIFA, Bullet is one of the best players of FIFA in TGP FIFA's history. And Andy has had a how should we put this? A checkered
Pretty average.
past,
Pretty.
an inconsistent history with TGP FIFA. How did you draw 3-3 with Bullet, your fellow countryman, shall we add, to end up qualifying for the next round of TGP FIFA? Come on, as a TGP Has a Podcast exclusive, was that a fix?
Well, there has been a lot of talk in the build up to this podcast regarding this. I've teased and teased and teased, even before we did this about half an hour ago, about dropping the bombshell about what actually happened in my 3 each draw with Bullet. Now, as you touched on in your little intro to the question there, we are fellow countrymen. We are good friends. We've been to a few Grand Prix together in Singapore. And yeah, I think it's fair to say that you would think that there might be an element of gamesmanship there to help each other through the group stage. Now, I can now reveal to you, Mike Noon, that there was, and I must stress, absolutely no fix
Unbelievable.
from the Ginger Andy side of the debate. Now, whether there was a fix from the Bullet side of the debate, I do not know. I am not telling you now that he did that because I don't know. So you'll have to ask Bullet if he went easy on me to get back to 3-3. Because even I will admit, and I'm quite happy to admit it, me coming from 3-0 down versus Bullet is very, 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 very unlikely. It is. And when I did it, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was so pleased with myself. Now, what infuriated me and still bugs me to this day is that great achievement that I had made has been soiled by you idiots trying to say that I deliberately fixed the tournament to get through. It is absolute nonsense as far as I'm concerned. I am the Fernando Alonso and the Nelson Piquet Flavio Briatore sandwich. I'm telling you now, I'm innocent in this case. But I suggest you get Bullet on for a podcast and ask him if he did or didn't, because even I am interested to know. In fact, I might message him now. Because I don't know. But I'd like to know.
I'd like to know.
We'd
all like to know. We'd all like to know. It's even more elusive than my Brands Hatch pole lap. Now, Andy, I want to finish off this podcast in the same way that we have done with everyone else so far, with some quick fire questions, if we can. Now, this is in relation to many different topics, and it'd be interesting to hear what your responses come to in this relation. I think we could keep talking all day, but at some point we've got to wrap this up.
So are they one-word answers?
Sorry?
One word answer, this or that kind of thing?
We can have a little bit of explanation as well. We don't mind a bit of explanation. So, favourite track to race on?
Oh, to race on? Spa.
Going for the track in eastern Belgium. Least favourite track to race on?
Oh. Vietnam, but Russia probably as well. Vietnam is kind of not really going to be there, is it? Russia.
Favourite track to commentate on? Any game.
Favourite track to commentate on? Difficult. Favourite one to commentate? A lot, Mike. That's difficult. What's your favourite to commentate on? That'll give me time to
I
think.
love a race around Monza.
Monza's a shout. I don't want to say
You've
Spa
got Monaco
again.
just because of the history, just because of the walls and everything. And actually, it's difficult not to mention Baku, particularly what happened in the last season of TGP2 with Tom Penguin. I mean, wow,
that's good.
Wow, what a moment that was.
I'm going to say Silverstone.
Okay, that's a bit left wing.
I think you get some good battles at Silverstone, and it can carry on for much of the lap, which is my pinned tweet actually on my Twitter. I think it's a ILR race, and I think the two leaders on the final lap of the race literally go side by side for the whole lap. So yeah, I would say Silverstone. I think I've had most fun commentating on Silverstone. Yeah.
And I think I already know the answer to this one. You've already mentioned it just a couple of answers ago. Your least favourite track to commentate on?
Russia.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Vietnam. Okay, I'll take that one.
Oh well, I'm not going to say Vietnam because it's not really going to be in the calendar for long, is it? But actually, me and Dan had a great commentary and a great race in TGP2 around Vietnam last season when we did it. I was actually stunned. I was shocked. It was actually quite good. We actually had a good qualifying session in Russia as well. This season, I think.
It was
as well. So, yeah, but still, generally, I look at Russia and go, ugh, France as well. What I don't like about France to commentate on is quite often the race is manufactured a little bit, especially at a high level of league racing. What you end up with is the cars are very evenly matched, and the front two just tow each other around in a DRS train until the final lap. So it's like a go-kart race, Mike, on like Gran Turismo with Slipstream on, and they just follow each other around, and then it's the last lap who's got the biggest battery, and it's just like there's no point watching the first 20 odd laps until the last 2 or 3. So I feel like the race in France could be quite bad. I'm actually going to take Russia out and go France. Actually, France is horrible to commentate on because they overtake each other down that straight every lap, and it's not even exciting. They're deliberately just letting each other go. It's like a cycling peloton race. They're doing it deliberately so that each other drain each other's battery till the final lap. It's horrendous.
Did you just say cycling peloton? Isn't peloton that sort of spinning bike?
Is a peloton in cycling not where they all go together in a group and one of them leads.
Is it?
They all break the wind, and then the next one tries it and all break. I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's
I
that
don't
kind
know.
of
Maybe
idea
I'm
anyway.
wrong. Maybe
Uh,
everyone's going to be laughing at us in the comments on this one.
I, th- I think
But
I think the peloton is. They call it the peloton, where they're
no,
all
isn't that
grouped
the one
together.
where the safety bike goes round for ages and then they have like 3 laps of madness? Isn't that the peloton?
Maybe. I think it might be a double meaning. It might be called that in the Olympics, but I think they call a group of cyclists in like a Tour de France when they're all grouped together the peloton. I don't know. I'm going to actually have to check that up. But I think they
So I've
call it
got
that.
the official peloton definition here, which apparently is French for ball, but it's most often used for a meaning of a group.
Yeah, there you go. A group of cyclists. So that's what I mean. It's like a group, and then one of them takes the lead. They all follow and break the wind. Then they drop into the peloton, and the next one does it. That's kind of what I'm referring to in France. In the race, they all DRS each other. The front uses up the ERS, drops behind, it manufactures it, and then it's like a go-kart race of slipstream all the way to the end on the last lap, and then it goes crazy. Okay, it's great in the final lap in France, but it just feels like you're commentating on nothing until that last lap, and that's why France is the worst.
Well, there you go. You've learnt 2 things: why not to race around France and how to race around France, and also what peloton means. So, informative podcast that we have here via the TGP series. Um, Andy, what's been your favourite moment in TGP? This can be racing, commentary, anything. What has been the moment you look back on most fondly?
It's difficult. I don't know what is the best moment in TGP. I'm sorry, Mike. I can't answer that. I don't know what the best moment is. Um, Probably the best moment. I don't think there's a best moment. I think the best thing about TGP is it's a close knit group of buddies. You can jump on the party, onto the PlayStation, and have a good chat and a good bit of fun on the games and have a good bit of banter every other night. That's the best thing about TGP. There's no best moment, but that's the best thing. Ever since I started playing the PlayStation and meeting people on Formula One games, right back in 2010, and here we are still. I met Jack Pearson on F1 2010. F1 2010. We're now more than a decade on
That's madness.
from that. So that just gives you that for me is the main thing. You got a lot of friends. Some I've met, some I haven't met yet. I'm sure we'll get around to that. Maybe you and I could go on a night out, Mike.
Well, I mean, we've done the Silverstone, so we need to do something next.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But that's probably the main thing. There's no big moment. As I said earlier on, favourite thing to commentate on was that season 20 finale. That would be my favourite commentary moment. But no, apart from that, I think the best thing is just tight knit group, and every other night there's you can jump on the PlayStation, have a good bit of banter and a good bit of fun, and maybe go to a few races as well.
Good stuff. And then lastly, what league would you like to see TGP Series take part in the future? Is there any particular game, any particular discipline? What would you like to see TGP Series do in the future?
Dom Smith, I'm telling you now, I want, and Roy is screaming for this as well. Super Formula GT Sport. I want a league on that. I'd love that. I would love that, Mike. Thoughts on that? What do you think?
I think that'd be brilliant. But would you just do Japanese races, or would you go the globe?
Go the globe. I'm not having Roy tell us, oh, we have to do Japanese races, blah, blah, blah.
Two rounds at Autopolis, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
I don't even know what that is. So, there's that, and yeah, I'd like that. And another thing I'd like us to do at some point would be a 100% race championship.
Well, it very nearly happened. How can we all forget?
Yeah, that's right. It very nearly did happen. I think that'd
TGP
be great as
100.
well. TGP 100. We had TOC 100. We could have TGP 100. So that's another thing I'd like to see at some point. But probably nowadays you don't get as much 100% racing on F1 games and league racing. So I would probably sway more towards a preference for seeing super formulas. I think that'd be class. I think that would be really good.
Brilliant. Well, Andy, as I said, we could take this podcast and we could have a good couple of episodes for this. but it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Now, you mentioned a few times, obviously, your various different accounts. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
At GingerAndyF1 if you want to keep an eye on some of my commentary stuff, and if you want to, and I don't recommend this, by the way, folks, if you want to follow me on my other account, and I again strongly do not recommend this.
He posts a lot about Kilmarnock, just so
a lot about Kilmarnock, a lot about the Scottish
Kilmarnock.
national team, a lot about politics, a lot of complete shite.
Yeah,
so
I'd agree with that.
Do not follow me on that one. If you want to get me, GingerAndyF1.
Fantastic. Well, Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this time so much. I knew we'd have a good laugh doing this. Hopefully, we'll be in a commentary box again soon together. Hopefully, we'll be at a racetrack with each other again soon. Hopefully, we'll be at a pub with each other again soon. It's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. So thank you so much for joining us in this episode.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
So there we have it, the trials and tribulations of a Glaswegian man who enjoys talking over anything that has four wheels, two legs, or excitement going on around him. We've really enjoyed our chat with Andy, and I hope you have too. Next week, we're going to be chatting to his commentary partner, of course, Dan the Man, F1, as we talk about his past in TGP series and so much success that he has had over his time. But for now, of course, it's good night, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.